I'm just back from a road trip and the condition of the car should tell you that I did encounter some rain along the way. However, in the previous part of the journey, the rain was a lot more and it forced me to get the car washed because there are a few design elements which do raise a few questions. But I'm going to come to that in a bit. This here is the Syros Diesel, and that is what has made me think diesels are an endangered species right now. The government doesn't like them. Petrol engines are a lot easier, a lot cheaper to refine for the emissions. EVs, hybrids, they've been hogging a lot of limelight. So a sub 4 meter vehicle like this with a diesel powertrain, does it even make sense in 2025? That's the question, or rather the debate that we are going to have today in this review. The Syros doesn't look like anything else in its segment. It's boxy, upright and almost mini carnival in some of its cues. It's divisive, but that shape has a point. Visibility is excellent, which makes it friendly for first-timers as well as some of the aged people. The rains, wet roads, especially in our dusty conditions, do expose a few niggles with the design. Some of the design elements like the lights in the bumper, front and the rear, they're quite low. So with all the spray that is getting kicked up by other vehicles on wet roads, they get mucked up very quickly, and when that happens, visibility goes for a toss. You have to stop and clean those headlights. Maybe some kind of headlight washers would have definitely helped. But what about the rear? Those indicators or even the reversing lamps, it all gets dirty very quickly, and then that visibility for the onlookers or the other motorists again goes for a toss. So that, I think, is a bit of a problem. And then we come to the door handles. They get dirty very quickly. The flush design, it looks quite nice, but they get dirty very quickly, and there is a design challenge here. So imagine walking up to the car with stuff in your hand. You don't probably always want to keep it in the boot. Now, these flush door handles, they don't pop out when you unlock the car. You have to use your finger to first push it in and then open the door. So that can get cumbersome. The conventional door handles would have been a lot easier to simply pull and open. The other bit is because the car gets dirty and those flush door handles get dirty as well, your fingers are often going to get dirty while trying to open this up. And then once you are inside, you will be looking for wet wipes in the cabin. Inside, space is the Syros' ace. Adults of every shape fit comfortably. There's enough storage for all odds and ends, and rear seats even slide for better luggage management. The boot space is generous for its size. Kia's packaging department definitely deserves a raise. There are a few quirks, like the split AC controls. You have a touch panel for controls that you don't often use, like the recirculation or the front and rear defogger. But for the commonly used controls like your fan speed, temperature control, etc., you have physical switches, which is great news, and these are ergonomically placed. This, however, not very intuitive because it usually falls in your blind spot when you're driving. You have to bend, get your eyes off the road to be able to make any changes here. But like I said, not frequently used controls, so it's not a deal breaker. You also get a wireless charging pad, which is great news. It accommodates plus size phones as well, so no problem there either. However, it's a bit shallow. So in our bumpy conditions, the phone often gets tossed around and gets thrown off, especially near your feet, which can get a bit unsafe. Long hauls, no problem at all. I've done over 900 kilometers in a day and none of the family members complained in either of the four corners of this car. In fact, the kid was happier still because the boxy and the low set window line, that gives excellent visibility, especially from the child seat. The cooling efficiency of this cabin is excellent, and ventilated seats even at the rear add a luxury touch. I just wish the ventilation was not restricted only for the seat base, it also extended to the backrest. Because honestly, in our conditions, it's the backrest that is more important than the seat base when it comes to the cooling efficiency. So if they had to really choose between one, they should have gone with the backrest instead. That's my feel. And then you also get the panoramic sunroof, which extends all the way back, and that adds to the airy feel, again keeping the whole family happy. And then when you want the privacy, there are these manually adjustable privacy shields as well. These sunblinds definitely work in our conditions. Under the bonnet is Kia's 1.5-litre diesel, making 115 PS, paired with a torque converter automatic, and there's plenty of torque as well. Refinement. That is the buzzword here because there's not too much buzzing inside the cabin, apart from external elements like the child seat, for example. The refinement levels, the NVH levels are really good, especially for a diesel in this price bracket, in this segment, compared to some of its few remaining rivals. This one feels a lot more refined. Yes, the gravelly note is still there, but it's not too audible, and that's a good thing. Even the gearbox is quite smooth. Driving on B roads, driving in the city environment, it does its job really well. Out on the highway also it performs quite good. But when you want to pull that quick overtake and then shave off speed by lifting off the throttle to be inside the speed limits, move back into your lane, etc., sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it just tends to downshift. The revs climb up, breaks the rhythm. It can get a bit annoying, and it's an inconsistent thing. It's not something that you will notice often, and it happens only in the normal driving mode. It's not a deal breaker, but it is annoying. Now, speaking of driving modes, you also get the eco mode, which surprisingly is not too dull. You will obviously use it most of the times in the city only, not so much on the highway, but that eco mode doesn't feel as dull as some of the other engines, or as compared to some of the other rivals, and that's a good thing. The sport mode is good fun to drive, but again, this is not exactly a corner carver. The performance is brisk whether you're in normal or in sport mode, and pulling overtakes at city speeds, highway speeds, again, no worry at all. It does all of that with absolute ease, and that's all thanks to the diesel powertrain. That meaty mid-range, that torque, it all comes in quite handy. So you don't have to really resort to the sport mode all that often, but it's there for good measure. Real world economy? Well, expect between 10 to 12 kilometers to a litre in the city, 14 to 15 kilometers on the highway without much sweat. We managed 11.8 in the city and 15.6 on the highway in our tests. Respectable figures for a diesel automatic. Kia has tuned the Syros softer than the Sonet or the Seltos. At city speeds, it glides over rough patches comfortably. Loaded up with family and luggage, and it settles better on the highway. Alone, at high speeds, can feel a bit floaty, especially if there are too many undulations on the road. Small potholes are not a problem, but a series or a patchwork of craters, that unsettles the car, and there is quite a bit of hopping from the rear. But if you are looking for a feature-rich compact car as a softer alternative to the Sonet or the Seltos, this is the one to pick. Handling isn't its party trick. The steering is light, the brakes are predictable, so it's easy to drive in most conditions. But push it into corners and you will feel that there is plenty of body roll and a whiff of understeer. So these are things you need to account for. It never really gets unnerving though. Once you know its limits, it's perfectly fine. Just don't expect hot hatch kind of antics. So back to the big question, is a sub 4 meter diesel still relevant? Studies show that post-COVID, the number of road tripping families in India has seen a massive uptick. So for those people who are still doing long distances, even with a compact vehicle, this one definitely makes a lot of sense. You see, it has the mid-range punch of a diesel, it's got the long-haul comfort, and it has decent fuel efficiency as well. These are attributes that still matter to the Indian audience, no matter what the government or the policymakers think about it. So if you are someone who enjoys long-distance driving a lot, the Syros diesel will make a lot of sense. For everyone else, maybe petrol, CNG, or even hybrids or electrified vehicles might be a more practical deal. But if you're someone who still values torque-rich diesels for road tripping, this Syros proves that this fuel type isn't dead yet. It's just become a bit of a niche choice, much like vinyl records or mechanical watches. Let us know, what do you think?